G'day and welcome back to the channel, Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my Trashy Tuesday movie reviews. Now, if you're new to my channel, you're probably wondering, what do you mean by trashy movie? Well, a trashy movie is, for me, it's something that usually it has a quality about it. Something that you can't quite put your finger on, but it's usually a lower budget film. Usually has a bit of a cult following, and it's usually a horror film of some variety. Not always. And like today's one, it's definitely not a horror film, but it definitely falls into the category of a trashy movie. Now, before we get into that, I do want to say a big thank you to all my new and existing subscribers. Again, I say this every week and I truly mean it. So thank you very much for sticking with me as we go through these trashy films. And if you're new to my channel, thank you for joining me, and if you could, give us a thumbs up, be much appreciated. And of course, subscribe to my channel, that's always appreciated. Anyway, let's get into the reason why we're here. We are looking at the film Equalizer 2000 from 1987. Now, I'm probably going to butcher the director's name. It's Ciro H. Santiago. The film stars Richard Norton, yep, fellow Aussie, good stuff. So we're onto a good start here, all right? Corinne Wall, William Stace, hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Robertpatrick. That's right. The T-1000 is in this. Hell yeah. Robertpatrick, he's been in a heap of films and TV shows as well. So yeah, it was really interesting seeing him appear in this because I had no idea. Anyway, let's get down to the plot. And okay, so this is directly from IMDb, and we know my issues with IMDb. The plots are not always accurate. So, a ruthless vehicular gang rules the post-apocalyptic wasteland. That's until a muscled hero named Slade builds the ultimate machine gun, the Equalizer 2000, and declares a one-man war on the gang's piece of garbage leader. Really, IMDb? Really? Yeah. Look, it's not even close. It isn't. What happens is obviously the world's gone to shit. It's they're in Alaska and it's a desert wasteland. So polar ice caps are gone or whatever. It's a desert. It doesn't really dive too deeply into why. It just is. This guy, Slade, is part of a group that controls oil. So it's very similar to Mad Max in a way where oil's a precious resource. But this conglomerate, this organization, I think they call it the organization, they control oil and he's part of that. Anyway, he gets betrayed by a fellow soldier in that group and that's why he's out for revenge. They kill his father and he goes out for revenge after being left for dead. Very different plot to a vehicular gang that rules a post-apocalyptic wasteland. I mean, that's not to say there aren't cars in it and there aren't gangs in it, but it's not anyway, I could rant about that for days, but I'm not going to. Anyway, as you know, I have a soft spot for post-apocalyptic action films. Throw in Richard Norton and it's sure to be a, action-packed thrill ride, right? Well, let's find out. Now, I'm going to be honest with you straight away. This is probably going to be one of my quickest reviews because I don't really have a lot to say about this film, good or bad. But I will say, if you can't see the video cover art behind me, I'll put it up and it's fantastic. Like, I love the VHS video cover art. It's just amazing to look at. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a look at the cast. And look, straight up, the characters in this, they lack depth or development. And it makes it hard to really emotionally invest in their fates. Richard Norton, he's good as Slade. And he does embody the archetypical stoic warrior with a gruff exterior but a heart of gold. Corinne Wall, who plays Karen, is a fierce and resourceful rebel who teams up with Slade. And they do have good chemistry together, so I did really enjoy that aspect. We've also got a young Robertpatrick, and he makes an early appearance in his career, providing a very small glimpse of the talent that would later on make him famous. But overall, the acting is generally subpar in this one, and many of the performances feel really wooden and unconvincing. Now onto the directing and the writing, and look, Santiago's direction has an emphasis on attempting to capture action and spectacle, but it feels uninspired and it often fails to generate any tension or excitement. And look, while there are plenty of action scenes, they just don't have that tension, and they lack a bit of creativity. So they fail to capitalize on any potential visceral thrills. That's one thing that I will say to a lot of those, the Italian, I guess, I don't want to say rip-offs, but the Escape from the Bronx, those ones, you know, even Hell of the Living Dead, that they're taking off of Dawn of the Dead, Escape from New York. They've got this thrilling little bit of action behind them, and that's what holds you. This one doesn't have that. It just doesn't capitalize on anything that could be just gripping. Now, the cinematography, look, it does capture the bleakness of the post-apocalyptic setting. Like I said, it's Alaska, but it's a desert, so it looks really different, you know, because you picture Alaska, you don't picture a desert, you picture snow. So I did like that aspect, and the landscapes are very desolate. The ruined buildings look good, and it's the visual style of a very typical low-budget 80s action flick with a gritty and rough around the edges aesthetic. So it does have that going for it. So now on to the effects, and look, while there isn't a lot in the way of special effects, what we do see looks dated and lacks polish, and that's generally through squibs and blood. That's it. Some of the sequences do appear amateurish, especially by today's standards. They just don't hold up. However, one thing I really did like was the set design. And with the post-apocalyptic vehicles, like I said, there are vehicles in this one, and they do look suitably post-apocalyptic. They've got these spikes on them. They're usually all black, and they have that look about them, the stereotypical, I guess, road warrior, Mad Max style. So they've obviously borrowed heavy from that, but they do look good, and I do appreciate the work that was put into those. And the buildings, they look good. The fort that the organization occupies looks fantastic. It looks, you know, like an old school castle, so to speak. But the one that sticks out to me the most is the postal exchange, or the post exchange. I know it's got a sign. If I can find a picture, I'll put it up. But it's this building that's made of corrugated iron sheeting, and it looks all rusted with holes in it. And I just thought that was a really great touch. And let's not forget the costumes and the props. So essentially, a lot of the body armor is just, you know, NFL gear that's just stripped back, or that's what it looks like to me. It's that padding stuff. It looks cheap, and it looks really just slap a coat of paint on it and put it on. But it does add to the fun and cheesiness of it. So, you know, it's got that. Now, the weapon itself is the Equalizer 2000, which is what he is making in the background here. It's nothing spectacular. Like, you look at the ones which it has on the cover and you think, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be shooting rockets. It's going to be shooting lasers. No, it's like a machine gun with a few extra pieces on it. That's rewatchability. And honestly, probably not. Now, I do enjoy post-apocalyptic action films, but this simply didn't cut it for me. It lacks tension, and it just didn't drive the plot forward at a fast enough pace to really keep me, enthralled in the story. And it's missing that pacing, which it kind of made me keep clicking the can to see how long has this movie got to go. But also that's also one of the cars, the spikes on it, you can see that. So yeah, I'll give it points for that. So final verdict, and look, Equalizer 2000 is a largely forgettable entry in the post-apocalyptic genre. It's marred by a derivative plot, uneven pacing, and wooden dialogue, weak performances, and low production values. And normally I do enjoy those low production values, and I can get over the wooden acting and I can get over the dialogue if there's something to keep me invested, and this was just missing that. Now look, this may have a nostalgic appeal for those of us who grew up watching similar films, but it's not one that delivered on anything for me. Overall, for a score though, I would give it a 4 out of 10. So there you have it. That is my review of Equalizer 2000. Have you seen this film? If you have, let me know what you thought of it down below, because I'll be keen to hear your thoughts on this one. If you haven't, I recommend you check it out, just to say you have watched it at least once. I can tell you what my opinion of it is, but hey, you might actually enjoy this one more than I did. So yeah, I don't know, there was just something about this film that didn't grab me, it didn't keep me invested in it. So yeah, but like I said, there are some good points to it. Anyway, before I ramble on, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit that thumbs up button, it'd be much appreciated. Subscribe to my channel for future content and hit that notification bell so that way you're notified every time I do release a new review. Obviously, I've got my Trashy Tuesdays, and next week hopefully will be a more enjoyable one. I've also got my Franchise Fridays. We're going into the Hellraiser series, and we're over halfway through, so we're getting there. We're almost at the end. From what I hear, it's downhill though. So yeah, that could be fun. But I do have my 60-second reviews as well. Keep an eye out for them, because I've got some really good ones coming up soon. I don't want to spoil, but they're going to be good. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.